Shocking reveal. Maid kisses millionaire in public. His daughter exposes the dark secret. The sun hung high in the sky, casting an almost oppressive heat over the extravagant Madison estate. Gilded gates, shining austerely in the sun, struggled to keep the outside world at bay. But the whispers floated freely, gnawing at the edges of restraint. On that fateful afternoon, a scene unfolded that would grip the attention of all of Willow Creek, a shocking spectacle that would soon be dissected in every corner of town. Lila, the seemingly humble maid with dreams stitched into her apron pockets, publicly kissed her boss, the untouchable millionaire, Julian Madison. Gasps echoed around the pool, each intake sharp as a knife. The crisp water sloshed in the nearby pool, momentarily stilling as heads whipped to spectate the impossible. Lila's heart raced, reflecting the panic that coursed through the crowd. She already sensed the scandal brewing, an undercurrent of judgment clawing at her through the heat of the day. Then, just as the whispers began to drown out the sounds of the splashing water, a figure stepped forward. Julian's daughter, Emma. With a glare that could pierce the thickest armor, she pulled back the curtain on her father's secret life. "You don't know what he has done." Her voice rang sharply, cutting through the air like glass shattering. Her fierce expression promised chaos, the kind that breeds in dark corners and hidden truths. A knot formed in everyone's stomach, the tension so tight it could be sliced open. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A collective gasp surged through the onlookers as Emma continued, her voice barely hiding the fury beneath the surface. He doesn't care about anyone except himself. The crowd shifted uneasily, incredulous at the turn of events. Lila's cheeks burned with humiliation, her heart pounding with dread. What had she stumbled into? The kaleidoscope of emotions danced in the air, murmurs of doubt, glances of disbelief, and sympathetic looks exchanged as people absorbed the weight of the accusation. Emma's words hung, thick and heavy as the summer heat. Hints of secrets long buried scratched at the surface, eager to erupt. Would Julian fight back? Would Lila expose her truth? The uncertainty loomed like thunderclouds ready to unleash a storm. And just as the tension peaked, the atmosphere shifted. It felt like the calm before an inevitable tempest. The pool shimmered under the glaring sun, oblivious to the drama unfolding just a few feet away. Lila felt a shiver run down her spine as she caught Julian's eye. In that moment, a rush of questions filled her mind. What was the truth? What other secrets lay hidden behind the facade of wealth and power? Could her heart withstand the tide of revelations about to wash over them all? As the whispers grew louder, one thing was certain: this was only the beginning of a story filled with intrigue, betrayal, and unexpected alliances. And as everyone held their breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold, the question lingered in the tense air. Who would be the one left standing when the dust settled? The tension in the air was palpable, like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Julian's expression twisted from surprise to anger, his jaw tightening as he took a step toward Emma. The crowd edged back instinctively, as if they could somehow distance themselves from the confrontation brewing between father and daughter. "Emma, don't do this," he snapped, his voice edged with a mix of panic and authority. "This isn't the time." Lila stood frozen, her heart racing. Every part of her screamed to run away, to escape the whirlwind of emotions and swirling suspicions. But another part, the part that made her kiss Julian in the first place, fueled her determination. She wasn't just a maid. She was a woman who craved a voice in a world that constantly tried to silence her. Not the time. Emma shot back, refusing to back down. Her eyes glinted with the fiery rage of a daughter protecting her truth. "When is the right time to expose a liar, Dad? You've built this perfect picture while hurting everyone around you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lila could feel the eyes of the town's elite weighing upon her, their judgment heavy and suffocating. Snippets of whispered speculation floated through the air, mixing with the sweet scent of summer, creating a surreal atmosphere full of danger. People are talking, and you can't control the narrative any longer. Emma continued. You think all your money can silence us? It can't. I've seen the damage you've done my own friends after everything you've kept from us. Julian's face flushed crimson, the sunlight catching the edges of his expensive sunglasses, making him look almost predatory. You don't know what you're talking about. I've done what I've done for us for this family. Lila edged closer, caught in the emotional crossfire. The undercurrents of Julian's confession were like electric currents, igniting her resolve. What could possibly have justified the choices he made? That's the problem. Emma shouted. It's always been about you. Do you really think you're protecting us? Tears threatened to spill down Emma's cheeks, and Lila's breath caught when she saw the vulnerability beneath the defiance. The crowd hung on every word, a living organism of intrigue and speculation, each person clutching their devices like weapons ready to capture the next shocking twist. Enough, Julian bellowed, taking another step forward, pushing through the crowd's hushed whispers. Don't think for a second that you understand the choices I had to make. This isn't a place for family drama. At that moment, Lila's throat tightened with anguish, realizing the delicate situation they were entwined in. Encouraging the truth felt inevitable, yet she also feared the fallout that might ensue. She glanced back at the estate, its opulence suddenly feeling like a gilded cage, suffocating everyone inside. I know the truth, Julian, Lila finally said, her voice small but steady. I know more than you think. A stunned silence fell over the crowd. Everyone turned to face her, their eyes a mix of curiosity and unexpected sympathy. For a heartbeat, the weight of her words hung heavily, like the thick summer air. I won't let this go. Not now, she declared, feeling a surge of resolve pulse through her veins. Julian's eyes narrowed, a dark cloud crossing his handsome face. You have no idea what you're getting into, he warned, venom sneaking into his tone. But she wasn't afraid anymore. The truth, once concealed in shadows, was screaming to emerge, threatening everything Julian had built. Perhaps Emma was right. This was about more than just family drama. A ripple of anticipation flowed through the crowd, the atmosphere electric with uncertainty. What would happen next? What consequences would spiral from this confrontation? Lila felt certain of one thing. A storm was coming, and she was ready to face it, but little did they know, deeper secrets lurked in the shadows, and they were about to come crashing into the light. The crowd's murmur thundered in Lila's ears, a cacophony of disbelief and intrigue. Julian's face twisted into a mask of suppressed rage as he stood there, paralyzed by her declaration. Stripped of his usual facade, he looked every bit the tyrant tangled in the web of his own deceit. Lila, you shouldn't be fighting this battle, Emma urged, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. You don't know what he is capable of. But that fear ignited something fierce within Lila. She had spent too long being silenced, her voice buried beneath the weight of others' lies. Now, her heart raced with adrenaline, every beat pushing her to take a stand. I may not know everything, she replied, her voice steady. But I know enough. You can't keep hiding behind your wealth, Julian. People deserve to know the truth. Julian's jaw clenched tightly, his eyes flickering with something darker than anger. You really think this will end well for you? He asked, his words dripping with menace. You'll regret this. Maybe, she responded, holding his gaze, refusing to flinch. But I can't allow you to destroy lives in your quest to maintain an image. Emma deserves better. The tension in the air crackled with disbelief. Lila could feel the disapproving stares of the townsfolk. Yet there was something else too, an unspoken solidarity among them. Why don't you just confess? Emma pressed, daring to step closer, her voice carrying the weight of countless buried grievances. Face the mess you've created, Dad. Julian's posture shifted slightly, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Lila seized the moment. This isn't just about you anymore, she stated firmly. You've made your choices. Now it's time for us to make ours. The silence that followed was heavy, everyone holding their breath as if waiting for a pivotal moment in a suspenseful film. Julian's face twisted in agony, caught between the facade he had built and the shaky ground beneath it. Enough. His voice boomed again, shattering the fragile stillness. As he turned away briefly to collect himself, the crowd shifted anxiously, sensing the severity of the situation. "What is the point of all this?" someone in the back shouted, the unease bubbling over into impatience. "If you have nothing to say, then step down." Lila felt a surge of support. Whispers danced through the crowd, their quiet dissent emboldening her. Behind her, Emma's gaze softened, recognition dawning. They were no longer alone in this fight. The truth was gathering strength, ready to break like a dam. "Julian, it's time," she said softly, but firmly, stepping forward again. "What secrets have you been keeping? How many lives are you willing to sacrifice for your pride? I won't let you tarnish my name," he shouted, still reeling from the discovery that was unraveling before him. Lila noticed a crack in his icy armor. Beneath it lay a world of fear and desperation. But before she could press further, a loud crash echoed behind them. Startled, heads whipped around as a figure stumbled into the clearing, breathless and wide-eyed. It was Jack, the town's gossip, clutching a crumpled envelope. "Wait, you need to see this," he yelled, panic rising in his voice. "This changes everything." Lila's heart raced. What could be inside that envelope? She and Emma exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. Whatever it was bound to change the course of their encounter. Julian's eyes narrowed at Jack, his earlier resolve wavering. "Don't you dare," but Jack had already ripped it open, and as he unfolded the contents for everyone to see, the world held its breath. What was revealed could shatter their lives forever. Jack's hands trembled as he held aloft the contents of the envelope, the paper catching the light and drawing every gaze in the clearing. Lila could feel the tension thicken in the air, the buzz of whispers swirling like a storm ready to break. What had Jack found? The parchment unfolded slowly, revealing a set of photographs, a series of candid shots taken at an upscale gala, showing Julian laughing as he leaned closer to a young woman. Lila's stomach dropped. It was a maid, barely older than a teenager. In one image, their lips almost met, while in another, they were entwined, hidden from view behind a lavish curtain. Gasps echoed through the crowd, a wave of shock rippling across their faces. Lila felt the blood drain from her own. This wasn't just scandal. It was a revelation of Julian's darkest secrets, the kind that could redefine everything. "Julian, is this true?" Emma's voice was shaky, but it cut through the rising chaos. She stepped forward, bringing the crowd's attention to her. "I can't believe you would do this to us. To our family." Julian's face transformed, his features twisting in rage and disbelief. "You don't know the whole story," he snapped, but his defiance felt weak, like a child caught doing wrong. Lila stepped closer to Emma, who was trembling beside her. "This is just the beginning," she murmured, finding her courage in the presence of truth. "We need to keep pushing. People deserve answers." "What's in those letters, Jack?" Lila demanded, her eyes tearing away from Julian's furious scorn. "What else do you have?" Jack shifted nervously, glancing down at the envelope still clutched in his hands. "There's more things that link him to other crimes, money laundering. Using family funds for personal gain," he stuttered out, his voice barely above a whisper. Lila felt every word hit her like a punch. Each accusation pulled the rug out from under Julian's feet. The loyal image he had built so carefully was sweeping away like sand in the wind. This was about more than infidelity. This was about power and betrayal, the kind that destroyed lives. "What do you think will happen now, Julian?" Lila asked, her voice steadying against the tide of uncertainty around them. "What is your next move?" Before he could respond, the crowd surged, some in outrage, others in a frenzied quest for the truth. Murmurs morphed into angry shouts, a full uprising of voices demanding accountability. "I'll fix this," he finally growled, looking at his daughter with a desperate fierceness. "I'll make this go away. You don't understand the breadth of my influence." Emma scoffed. "Influence? You think that scares us? We're not afraid of you anymore." The shift was palpable, the town's mood swirling from fear to bold defiance. Lila felt proud of the energy sparking around them. This was not just about her and Julian anymore. This was personal now, a collective push against tyranny and deceit. But as Julian's eyes darted around in panic, something unexpected happened. His gaze seemed to settle on Jack, narrowing with an ominous intensity. "You've made a grave mistake, Jack." You should have kept your mouth shut. There are consequences for stirring trouble. The words hung ominously in the air, and Lila felt a chill creep down her spine. There was a depth of danger lurking behind Julian's threats. Jack flinched, knowing how deep the rabbit hole went. What do you mean? Jack trembled, stepping back. In that moment, Lila realized. Confronting Julian was just the first step. She was pulling at a thread that could unravel everything, not just for Julian, but for them all. As the crowd shifted, murmurs of fear ran through them, leaving Lila with one burning question. What was Julian truly capable of when backed into a corner? Lila took a deep breath, her heart thumping, ready to face whatever came next. But a voice cut through the thickening tension, drawing gasps once more. "Guys, you need to see this," someone whispered, pointing to the envelope in Jack's hands. Her pulse raced as she turned to look, the images within it still revealing more darkness. What else had yet to be uncovered? The gasps ricocheted like gunfire in the clearing. Lila squinted, trying to discern what else lay hidden in Jack's envelope. With shaky hands, he reluctantly slid out another photograph, this one showing Julian and the maid in a heated embrace, their faces alight with the thrill of their scandal. The entire crowd leaned in, unable to tear their eyes away from the unfolding drama. "This can't keep happening," Emma shouted, rage and disbelief warring within her. "This isn't just a mistake. Dad, this is your life." Julian's face darkened, a mask of fury intermingled with desperation. "You don't know what this is. You don't know what she's made me do." His barked words held panic, but the crowd sensed the slight quiver behind them. They saw him for what he was, a man grasping at straws while his carefully crafted image crumbled around him like a house of cards. Jack, still visibly trembling, looked to Lila for guidance. "I didn't want to drag everyone into this," he stammered, his voice barely audible over the rising clamor. "But it's too late, isn't it?" Lila felt a burning need to protect him and herself from the fallout. "You did the right thing," she said firmly, casting a glance back at Julian. "He needs to face the truth, whatever it is. And we need to know what's next." A ripple of agreement coursed through the crowd, emboldening them. They pressed in closer, eager for answers, while Julian's face paled under their collective scrutiny. "Don't push me," Julian warned, his voice dropped to a gravelly whisper. "You have no idea who you're messing with. Do you really think I can't make this go away?" His eyes darted nervously, plotting escape routes as the crowd grew heavier with indignation. Emma stepped forward, her voice quavering. "You think you can just erase this? It's too late, Dad. You've hurt everyone around you." Lila felt her heart pounding fiercely, caught in the cyclone of chaos. She needed clarity. "Jack, you said there's more? What else is in that envelope?" Jack hesitated, glancing down again, torn between his fear of Julian and the urge to reveal the truth. "There's a series of bank statements. They show transfers, and not just to the maid." His brow furrowed, trying to recollect what lay within the tangled mess of documents. "If I show those to the police, this could end everything." The gravity of his statement hung in the air, taking form as disbelief, anger, and fear rolled through the crowd. "You need to," shouted someone from the back. "This isn't just about Julian anymore. It's about what he has done to all of us." Julian's expression morphed from outrage to something darker, more calculating. "I'll counterattack," he hissed, the threat of desperation splintering into tangible menace. "You think you can tear me apart? You have no idea what I am capable of. You'll regret this. What are you going to do?" Lila shot back, her voice steady despite the rising adrenaline. "You're outnumbered, and the truth is already here. People deserve to know." But as she spoke, a foreboding silence fell, punctuated only by the distant rumble of thunder. In that moment, something shifted in the air, a charge that whispered of danger. "Let us take this to the police, Jack." "Now," Lila urged, the urgency cutting through the tension, wanting to escape before Julian narrowed his threats into action. But Jack hesitated again, confusion swirling in his eyes. What if he really can make us regret this?" Lila recognized the fear etched into Jack's expression. It mirrored her own rising dread. Above them, dark clouds gathered, harboring unseen turmoil. As Julian's expression twisted again, this time into a sinister smile, the question hung, clawing at her insides. How far would Julian go to preserve his legacy? Lila's heart raced, a scream brewing in her throat. Whatever came next was going to be monumental. What depths of Julian's power would they unearth? The weight of uncertainty was crushing, but they had come too far to turn back now. "Let us do it," she urged, emboldened by the fear coursing through her. "We'll find out together." And with that, they took slow, trembling steps toward a truth that promised to engulf them all. The air felt electric, thick with anticipation as Lila and Jack moved toward Julian, the crowd following like a restless wave. Lila's heart thudded loudly as she glanced at the envelope and the secrets it contained, a tangible weight of possibility resting heavy in her hands. "Are you ready for this?" Jack whispered, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Lila squared her shoulders, forcing confidence into her voice. "We have to be," she replied, though doubt crept in, gnawing at her resolve. "This is bigger than us now. Bigger than him, too." She nodded toward Julian, who stood there, his face a mask of fury and fear, battling a tumultuous sea of emotions. The shadows of the encroaching storm seemed to echo the darkness gathering within him. "Just a few minutes," Jack murmured, his face pale. "We just need to show them the money. That'll make it real." "Make what real?" shouted someone from the throng, a man with a square jaw and eyes that reflected the flame of communal anger. "We deserve to know the truth." The renewed murmurs of agreement surged through the crowd, forcing Julian to clench his jaw, muscles tightening as he fought to maintain his composure. The clock was ticking, and Lila sensed the moment creeping up on them like a predator closing in on its prey. "Okay, Jack," she hissed, her pulse racing. "If you're going to do this, you need to show them everything. Leave no room for doubt." Jack lifted his shaky hands and began sifting through the contents of the envelope, his reluctance palpable. The crowd leaned in closer, anticipation foaming like a brewing storm, while Julian shifted uneasily, glancing around as if gauging his options. "I want to go down without a fight," he snarled, but there was a tremor in his voice, a chink in the armor of his bravado. "Let them see the statements," Lila urged, desperation threading her words. "Let the truth cut through the lies." With a sudden resolve, Jack pulled free the bundle of papers, hands trembling. He thrust them into the light, the scent of crisp ink mingling with the earthiness of the encroaching rain. Gasps erupted as people leaned closer, straining to catch glimpses of the financial entanglements that linked Julian to more than just the scandalous affair. "What is this?" someone cried, eyebrows drawing together in confusion. "He has been funneling money?" The air grew thick with whispers and horrified disbelief as faces morphed from anger to shock. Julian's eyes darted around as if looking for a way out. "You're making a mistake," he roared suddenly, voice cracking, a wild desperation breaking through the veneer of calculation. "You don't know what he'll do to you." Lila felt a knot tighten in her stomach at the threat. Whatever Julian was capable of, it didn't feel right. "Stop using fear to control us," Lila shouted, stepping forward, her voice cutting through the tense air like a blade. "You can't bully us into silence anymore." Julian's facade cracked, his wide eyes shadowed with panic. "You think those papers will protect you? I have connections, people who would do anything to keep me where I am." His words hung in the air, thick with menace. The crowd buzzed with uncertainty, internalizing the threat as an unsettling chill rolled through their ranks. "I don't like this," Jack murmured, tension coiling tighter within him. "Then we have no choice," Lila said, resolve setting her spine straight. "We bring it to the police. Now." But before they could move, an unearthly crash of thunder echoed, drowning out their voices. Heavy raindrops began to fall, drumming against the earth like an urgent heartbeat, a warning of the storm's impending fury. Julian smiled then, a dark crescent cutting across his face. "You have no idea what you're getting into. This isn't just a game," he warned, an ember of viciousness igniting in his expression. "And I want to be the only one playing." Horrified gasps erupted as Lila's stomach dropped. What had they unleashed? The storm clouds rolled in, swirling ominously above, and Lila's breath caught in her throat. How far could this go? With secrets unraveling around them, and even darker, truth hovered just out of reach. What would Julian do when cornered? "Let us go," she shouted, gripping Jack's arm. "It's time to face the real danger." But as they turned to flee, Lila could feel Julian's eyes boring into her back. igniting every instinct within her to run. And as the crowd reluctantly shifted into motion, one question loomed larger than the storm clouds above. What would happen when Julian unleashed his wrath? Rain poured down in heavy sheets, dramatically transforming the scene into a blur of motion. Lila's heart raced as she pulled Jack through the crowd, feeling eyes burning into her from every direction. Fear coiled tighter within her as Julian's words echoed in her mind. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "What now?" Jack gasped, face pale, struggling to keep pace. Lila scanned their surroundings. Fear had spread like wildfire among the people, their faces etched with shock and uncertainty. The rain cascaded around them, amplifying the murmurs of disbelief, the crowd's dynamic shifting, now a chaotic swirl of excitement mixed with anxiety. "We get to safety," she replied urgently, leading him towards a narrow alleyway nearby. They stumbled into the covering shadows, the scent of damp earth mingling with her rising panic. "We need to regroup and figure out our next move. We can't let him intimidate us." The moment they leaned against the cold brick wall of the alley, Lila's breath came in shaky bursts. Jack wiped the rain from his eyes, trying to refocus. "But what if those papers don't protect us?" Lila swallowed hard, the tension in her throat tight. "Then we fight. We're not backing down now, not after everything." Just then, a shadow loomed at the alley's mouth. It was Julian, water drenching him as he stepped into the darkness, an embodiment of fury and desperation. "There's nowhere to hide, Lila," he called, his voice too calm, chilling her blood. "You think you've won, but this is just the beginning." "What do you want, Julian?" Her voice quivered, but she held it together. "If this is about the money, then let the authorities figure it out." "What? And miss the fun?" He stepped forward with a menacing grin. "You think the truth will keep you safe? People have lives to protect." Lila crushed her teeth together. "That's the point. We're not letting you threaten anyone anymore." Jack's hand inched toward her arm, his fingers trembling, but Lila shook off his caution. She stepped forward, slightly balled fists at her sides. "You're done. Your web of lies is unraveling." People before she could finish, Julian moved closer, igniting a chill down her spine. "Do you really think this crowd cares about your truth? They're looking for a scapegoat. You'll be the sacrifice, Lila." Fear spiked through her, but she refused to let it control her. "You want to scare me into submission, Julian. I want to let you suddenly." He lunged, grabbing her arm with a grip that felt like iron. She gasped, reeling at the shock of his strength. She struggled, adrenaline coursing through her. "Get away. Running one to save you." He hissed, eyes dark, smoldering with menace. "I'll make sure they remember your name not as a hero, but as the girl who brought chaos." In that moment, the threat sank deeper into her bones. He truly meant every word. Jack shoved forward, desperation coursing through him. "Let her go?" he yelled, attempting to pull Julian's grip from her arm. With a swift motion, Julian pushed Jack back towards the alley's entrance. Lila watched in horror as Jack tripped, hitting the damp ground hard. The crowd outside, still buzzing with energy, began to look curiously into the alleyway. The tension spun tighter as Lila yanked herself free, her heart racing. "This isn't over, Julian. We want to be silenced." But a part of her knew the stakes had just risen. They were crossing lines that could not be uncrossed. The cost could be too high. The rain drenched her to the bone, every drop feeding her determination. She had to fight. She had to expose the man before her for what he truly was. But what price would they pay for this truth? As she turned to Jack, they shared a glance, fear and defiance reflected in their tear-streaked faces. But would they truly have the strength to face what lay ahead, or would the storm bring more than just rain? Unbeknownst to them, a figure lingered at the edge of the crowd, watching them with a twisted interest. The game was far from over, and the stakes were about to escalate. Lila's pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out the chaos of the crowd. She turned to Jack, whose wide eyes mirrored her own terror. Fear glimmered there, but behind it lay a burning determination. Together, they could face this menace, but would it be enough? "Come on," she urged, jerking his arm, ready to bolt deeper into the alley's obscurity. "We have to find a way out of here." Jack hesitated for a split second, glancing back at the looming figure of Julian, still watching like a vengeful specter. Then he nodded, and they raced further into the darkness. Each step felt like wading through thick mud, every breath strained and ragged as they ducked and weaved through the twisting alleyways. Lila's mind churned. Julian's threats hung in the air like heavy mist. The truth they sought to expose was woven into a terrifying tapestry connecting powerful people with vicious secrets. But what had they uncovered that could endanger not just them, but everyone entangled in Julian's web? Suddenly, a sharp noise sliced through the muffled sounds of the rain, a crash, like glass shattering. Lila froze, her heart crashing in her chest. Jack's expression turned pale, eyes darting around. What was that? He whispered, his voice shaky. Shoo, she hissed, leading Jack toward a narrow doorway that opened into an abandoned building. They ducked inside just as footsteps echoed outside, heavy and purposeful. The old structure groaned around them as they crept through the darkness, damp air wrapping around them like a cold blanket. The musty smell of decay pricked at her senses, but there was no time to be afraid. They had to keep moving. What if he finds us? Jack's voice trembled as they rounded a corner. Then we fight. Together, Lila replied, her resolve hardening. They entered a dimly lit room where shadows danced on the walls. Lila, we need to think about our next steps, he said, almost urgently. If we're going to confront him, we need that proof. But we can't put ourselves in more danger. What choice do we have? She searched Jack's face, hoping to find unwavering support. We can't let him destroy lives. We have to go back. We have to expose him. Before Jack could respond, they heard the sound of a door slamming in the distance. Panic surged through Lila, a tidal wave threatening to drown her resolve. We have to hide, she whispered, ducking behind a dilapidated desk. Silence swallowed the room, the tension wrapping around them tightly. They held their breaths, listening. A shadow flickered at the entrance of the room. Julian, that he stepped inside, taking slow, deliberate strides. You can run all you want, Lila, he called, voice dripping with malice. But you can never escape the truth. It's right in front of you, waiting to swallow you whole. Then his expression shifted, revealing a twisted grin. I know you're here, he continued, scanning the room. You can't hide from what's about to happen. Chills raced down Lila's spine. She exchanged a frantic look with Jack. There was nowhere to go. Her heart thudded wildly as the realization settled in. Julian was toying with them like a cat with a mouse. And then, just as quickly as he had entered, he spun on his heel, walking out with a mocking laugh that echoed through the barren walls. Is this really where we end? Jack whispered, eyes flickering with uncertainty. We're not done yet, Lila shot back, determination igniting anew. She straightened, fueled by the urgency thrumming in her veins. We'll find a way. If we make it through this, we'll expose him once and for all. But the fear remained. Julian wasn't just a threat. He was a monster, and the storm was far from calming. They tiptoed cautiously back towards the door. Lila felt a strange sensation creeping along her skin, a prickling awareness. The figure outside the alley had not been mere chance. What if there were eyes on them, allies or enemies lurking just beyond the shadows? Every step felt like treachery. Every heartbeat echoed betrayal. In the dim light, she turned to look at Jack, determination mixed with uncertainty in his eyes. We'll make him pay. But we have to be smart. But as they prepared to leave the shelter of the building, Lila couldn't shake the feeling that Julian's puppet strings had tightened even more, and the true game had only just begun. Outside, the rain fell harder, and a figure stood waiting at the end of the alley, cloaked in darkness, a glint of something dangerous reflecting in their eyes. Would they discover who truly held the power before it was too late? Or was the real danger still lurking out there, just waiting to pounce? Lila edged toward the door, heart hammering. Every nerve in her body buzzed with adrenaline, each beat of her heart echoing like thunder in her ears. The street outside was slippery, rain drenching the pavement and cloaking shadows in darkness. She peered through the cracked door, scanning for the figure that had caught her attention. Are you sure about this? Jack whispered, voice barely a murmur as he joined her at the threshold. His breath kept fogging the glass, blurring the view much like the fog of uncertainty clouding Lila's thoughts. We don't have a choice, she replied, tightening her grip on the door. We need to know if Julian has allies out there. We need to spot the danger before it finds us. Taking a breath, Lila pushed the door open just enough to peek through. The alley appeared empty, but she could still feel something lurking, an unseen presence weighing down the air. Just before she stepped out, Lightning illuminated the night, and she spotted the figure again, a looming shadow, standing stone still. What if it's him? Jack's voice trembled. It won't be. He wouldn't be out in the open like that. She forced herself to step through the door, adrenaline bolstering her resolve. Stay close to me. They crept into the rain, the cold droplets stinging their skin, but the chill in the air was nothing compared to the fear tightening around her chest. As they drew closer, the figure shifted, and a flash of silver caught the light. Lila froze. Was it a weapon? Before she could discern more, the figure turned, revealing a woman. Dark hair framed her face, rain cascading down her back like a waterfall. But it wasn't just her presence that sent a shiver down Lila's spine. It was the hostile look in her eyes, icy and calculating. Lila, the woman said, voice smooth yet sharp. What a surprise. Lila's stomach dropped. Camille. The word slipped out like poison. Camille was Julian's enforcer, someone who danced in the shadows and carried his dirty work. A creature of endless loyalty, wrapped in secrets and darkness. What are you doing here? Jack stepped protectively in front of Lila, the tremor in his voice betraying his bravado. Merely checking on some loose ends, Camille replied, her smile twisted, teeth shining like forks in a darkened room. You both seem to be in quite the predicament. But don't worry. I'll take care of you. Lila's heart raced anew. You don't have to do this. We can walk away. Oh, but you see, you're both deeply involved now, Camille said, taking a step closer. Rain dripped off her chin, pooling at her feet. Julian doesn't tolerate loose ends, and neither do I. Suddenly, from behind Camille, another figure stepped out of the shadows. A tall man, his face obscured by a hood, advanced slowly. With each step, Lila felt the weight of dread pressing down on her shoulders. Fear coiled tightly in her gut. Who is that? Jack whispered, but Lila was too stunned to answer. She recognized the silhouette, the way he carried himself. Don't move, Lila shouted, but the words felt weak, useless. Camille raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in her eyes. You think you have control here? Remember who holds the power. A low chuckle came from deep within the hooded figure. Power? No, dear. It's not about power. It's about timing. The voice was deep, smooth, like velvet, yet chilling all at once. Panic surged in Lila's chest as she processed the shadows closing in around them. What do you want? She cried, desperation slipping through. The hood slowly turned, the figure's face now illuminated by a flash of lightning. It was a face she never expected to see again, a face that was territory she thought she'd safely left behind. Julian isn't the one who's been pulling the strings, the man drawled, lips curling into a smirk. That would be me. Lila's breath caught in her throat. Everything she believed was crashing down around her, the truth twisting like a knife. Who are you? Jack gasped, stepping back as confusion warped his features. The man took a step forward, unhurried, as rain continued to pour. Oh, we'll get to that. But first you need to understand something important. The game has only just begun. As the rain fell heavier, Lila realized they were standing on the cusp of a shocking revelation. She had thought she was battling Julian, but there was a darker force entwined in the shadows, one they had yet to discover. And now, she was about to learn a truth that would change everything she thought she knew. What if the games being played were even more deadly than she imagined? The rain pounded down, each drop feeling like a reminder of their dire situation. Lila's heart raced as she stood face to face with Julian's puppet master, Alex, a name she had only heard in hushed whispers before today. He exuded danger, his presence suffocating, like a storm waiting to break. She exchanged a glance with Jack, their eyes wide with fear and disbelief. Is this your big reveal? Lila spat, summoning every shred of courage within her. You're just another one of Julian's ghosts? Alex chuckled lowly, his amusement cutting through the tension. Oh, Lila, you think of me as a ghost? I'm the real architect of this chaos. With every word, his confidence poured over them like the relentless rain. Jack shifted uneasily beside her. This isn't a game. You're not in control anymore, he said, though Lila could hear the tremor in his voice. It sent a jolt of anxiety through her. Would their defiance mean anything at all against this new threat? Control? That's cute, Alex smirked. Let me remind you what happens when whispers turn into screams, or when shadows grow too bold. Just as he finished, a flash of lightning skittered through the sky, momentarily illuminating the alley, and Lila saw the glint of something metallic in his hand, a weapon. Her heart sank, a chill gripping her veins. "Get behind me," Lila shouted as she pushed Jack back. The instinct to protect surged through her as Alex advanced a step closer, his grin wide and twisted. "Brave to confront Julian. But like I said, you're playing in a much larger game." He glanced over his shoulder toward Camille, who still stood ready and watchful. "And now, your inexperience will cost you dearly. What do you want?" Lila demanded, voice steady despite the fear trembling in her stomach. "Simply an apology," Alex replied, tilting his head. "You see, Julian wasted my time. His little affairs were supposed to remain in the shadows, and now, well, now you too have meddled. You think it ends well for you." Rain poured harder. Everything felt electric, drenched in fear, and yet within that storm, a flicker of defiance sparked. Lila squared her shoulders. "Don't you understand? We're not backing down. We will expose everything," she declared, drawing strength from their shared resolve. Even as her throat tightened with uncertainty, Jack shifted, breathing deeply as he stood next to her. "We won't be your scapegoats. The truth will come out." "Ah, the valiant heroes," Alex sneered. He lifted his chin slightly, signaling Camille to step forward, ready to enforce his will. Such determination. Yet, the truth often lies buried. And digging it out, well, there are consequences. Lila's heart raced. The threat hung in the air, thickening the tension like a dark fog. The stakes weren't just about exposing Julian's secrets, they were now about their very lives. "Enough!" A voice thundered suddenly. Lila turned to see Julian stepping into the light, his features twisted with rage and desperation. "You want to lay a finger on them? What are you doing here?" Alex asked, surprise momentarily breaking his menacing demeanor. "It doesn't matter," Julian shouted, eyes ablaze as he faced his former ally. "I'll handle this. Walk away." Lila felt her chest tighten. Julian was out of control. She recognized fear in him, compounded by a chaotic struggle for power. "Julian, you don't have to," Lila began, but he shot her a pained look. "They need to understand," he gritted out. "You think I am the monster here, but you have no idea who Alex truly is." But before Julian could elaborate, Alex laughed, the sound piercing through the thunder and rain. "Is that your defense? A feeble attempt at sympathy? Enough of this!" Julian roared, stepping ahead, shielding Lila and Jack, a sudden sense of protectiveness radiating from him. "This is between you and me. Leave them out of this." "Make me," Alex challenged, his voice dripping with malice. The standoff thickened, the air charged between them like a live wire, ready to snap at any moment. Lila's heart raced as she felt the balance of power hanging by a thread. "We have the truth, Julian. We can protect ourselves together." But suddenly, the tension within the cramped alley exploded. The very ground seemed to shake as a sound echoed in the distance, tires screeching violently. Lights flashed, blinding them momentarily. "Police!" Jack shouted, a wild excitement erupting in his voice. The chaos erupted. Julian glanced over his shoulder, then back at Lila and Jack. "Now is our chance." And in that moment of collective decision, Lila seized Jack's hand, and they bolted toward the mouth of the alley, the cacophony of approaching sirens giving them a shred of hope. "Get to safety," Julian shouted behind them, his voice growing distant as Lila and Jack raced toward the light. Fear and adrenaline surged through her, every step symbolizing a newfound freedom. With each pace, the danger began to feel like a nightmare retreating into the dark, and Lila finally grasped what they'd been fighting for. Not just survival, but a chance to tear down the walls of deceit. The rain poured, but as they broke through the alley and into the main street, a new resolve strengthened her step. She wouldn't turn back. They had to face Julian and Alex, but together they could shine light on the dark corners they had unearthed. As the police lights danced around them, spreading a tapestry of hope amid the storm, Lila felt her heart swell. Today was just the beginning. Now, with the truth bubbling to the surface, what lay ahead started to feel possible. But still, the war for justice had only begun. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any more exclusive stories just like this one. Smash that like button now. It really helps feed the algorithm and lets everyone discover these incredible tales. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this jaw-dropping conclusion. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this ending. The story isn't over yet, and they deserve to be part of it.